Hi there. In this video, I'm going to be answering the very common question, should I send my child to singing lessons? My name's Carrie Griffiths and I'm a singer, speaker, I'm a voice coach, and I've been a singer since 1999 and I've been a voice coach since 2003. I have helped thousands and thousands of people to live their dreams as singers and to build speaking careers. Now, this is a very good question, and the answer is it depends. And it depends on a number of things. Now, I have taught lots of children. I've taught thousands of children. I've taught thousands of people. I've taught thousands of children. I don't teach children so much these days, but there was a time when around 50% of my students were children. I niched down. Now I really work with professionals. I work with singer-songwriters and people who for whom singing is a serious career. Okay. Now, there are some child singers who are in the performing arts and who are singers. And there are lots and lots who aren't. Now, teaching children to sing is not the same as teaching adults to sing, okay? The same techniques apply for children as apply for adults, but the teaching styles have to be very different. Not very different. The teaching styles have to be different, okay? Now, the children that I teach now, they are either performing at the moment, or they're preparing to perform, or they're preparing for exams, for grades. Grades are musical exams. So you can take grades in piano, violin, guitar, drums, all of the more traditional instruments and all of the more contemporary instruments. And you can take grades in singing, in vocals. Now you can take classical vocals, musical theatre vocals, and you can take pop vocals. I've done musical theatre vocals and pop vocals all the way to grade 8, and I did do 3 years of classical, although I didn't do the classical grades. Now, the singers that I have at the moment, as I say, they are either performing at the moment or they're planning to perform, or they're taking their grades, okay? Now, one-to-one singing lessons are not cheap, and they shouldn't be. Reason being, you're paying for a very specific service. You're paying for specific knowledge and experience. You should be paying a trained, qualified and experienced teacher, and that doesn't come cheap. It shouldn't come cheap, and it really, you shouldn't want a cheap singing teacher, because you get what you pay for. And also, if you're paying a decent amount, it means that you value what you're getting. And so when it comes to teaching children, a lot of parents feel that they need to get a discount because they're children, but you're still putting in the same effort. In fact, in my experience, it takes more of an effort to teach children, and that's not because they're more difficult, it's just because the teaching style is different. And it's still the same amount of time, and you're still using the same amount of experience and the same amount of knowledge, okay? Now, I always recommend sending young children under the age of 8 to a club, like a performing arts club or a singing group, okay? I don't really recommend one-to-one singing for children under the age of 8 unless they're already on stage performing. Not even for grades, unless the child really wants to and they show talent. Up between the ages of 8 and 12, I would say definitely start them out at a performing arts club or performing arts group, or in a singing group, or even a choir. And then if the child still says that they want one-to-one singing lessons, then pursue one-to-one singing lessons. That way, you know that A, you know what you're getting, B, you're going to value what you're getting, and C, that your child definitely wants to go down this road. I get a lot of inquiries from parents who have children who sing a lot. There are lots of children who sing a lot. There are lots of children who can hold a tune. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be a strong singer. So what are singing lessons for? Singing lessons are not to make your child sing well, all right? That is the number one myth buster that shocks and surprises a lot of people. My job isn't to make singers sound good. My job is to help singers to understand how their voices work so that they can use their voices properly, correctly, so that they don't cause strain and damage. And the outcome, a side effect of that is that they sound good. Okay, you get a nice strong voice. I train a strong voice, and the outcome is that it sounds good. Now, good to one person might mean terrible to another person. It's all objective. And that's the main reason that I lead with not teaching someone to be a good singer or to sound nice. All right, that's just a side effect. Okay, so what most parents don't understand about singing and singing lessons. It's going to take a long time. Okay, children under 7, their voices are actually more natural than older people. And the reason for that is that when we're born, we know how to use our voices properly. And long story short, as we get older, adults and older children tell us to shut up, stop screaming, stop singing through your nose, stop shouting, and all that kind of stuff. And we unlearn how to use our voices properly. And so what singing lessons do is they retrain us to be able to use our voices the way they were designed to be used. So most children under the age of 7 are actually using their voices properly. Not all, but most. So just let them use it. If your child sounds nasal when they sing, doesn't matter. In fact, nasal singing is actually a technique, and what we can do is modify it in singing lessons, okay? What else? Other things that parents don't understand about singing lessons is, it's gonna take a long time. Your child needs to practice. Most parents understand that, but they need to practice a lot. Now, what happens with younger children is that it's quite hard for them to take on techniques often. And then when they're away from their singing teacher and they're practicing by themselves, especially if they have family that don't understand how to sing properly, how to use their voices properly, then the techniques fall away in between the singing lessons and they have to relearn them during the lessons. That's another reason why I don't recommend sending younger children to singing lessons. What can you expect? Well, what you can expect is for your child to learn a lot of silly sounds, make silly faces, and to just really experiment, do a lot of experimenting. Okay, with older children, it's the techniques can come in a lot sooner and they can grasp them. They tend to grasp them a lot sooner, in my experience, and that is pretty much universal. You can expect to invest a good at least 2 years in singing lessons for your child if your child is serious and really wants to become a singer. If they're taking grades, a grade takes roughly 4 to 6 months to prepare for, depending on the child, depending on whether they get sick, depending on how much they practice, and depending on your commitment to supporting your child in that environment and how many singing lessons they should have. And I recommend weekly singing lessons if they are taking one-to-one singing lessons. So a grade takes about 4 to 6 months. There are 8 grades, and then there is also a diploma. Okay, but the grades are up to grades 1 to 8. Some of the awarding bodies have steps as well and debut. So that could mean that you've got the 8 grades plus another 2 or 3 exams before the 8 grades. So that's at least 4 years if you're planning for your child to take all 8 grades. And I have had children who have started with me around the age of 10 or 11, and they've gone on to take all of their grades and they finish around the age of 15. So you're in it for the long game. Now, if your child is adamant that they want singing lessons, do your research first. Please don't just go to the cheapest vocal coach, the cheapest singing teacher, because they're not necessarily going to be the best. I would recommend going to someone who works with children a lot, or someone who has worked with children a lot. And I would advise definitely starting them in group lessons or club lessons and then building up to one-to-one lessons. So I hope that this video has helped you. If you've got any other questions, please do pop them in the comments or send me an email, Carrie@Secret Vocal Academy, CARRIE @secretvocalacademy.com, and I'll make a video for you and give you a shout out. Take care, stay hydrated, ciao!